our candidate for district attorney. That race is up. It's going to be a pretty high-profile race this year. The Democrats have rallied on their side. We have an excellent candidate on the Republican side. He's been out and about and speaking to different groups, and he's here tonight. I want to invite up Mr. Dan Simons.
I cannot thank you guys enough for allowing me to come in here and talk. And when the first time I ever stepped foot in this location was in 2017, and there was about 7 people. And now I see a full room, and it is just awesome to see this. I'm very humbled to even have the opportunity just to be here to talk with you. First, I want to talk about why I'm running and what we're up against. I think it's really important. The second thing I want to talk about is I want you to really get to know who I am. I think it's really important for you to know me so you can trust me. The main reasons I'm running for this as I ran for judge 2018, by the way. I did very well, but we lost in 2018. Running for DA, I bought danforda.com 5 years ago. This is not by accident. Whenever I heard that Kim Ogg was going to pretty much lose her spot, we knew that the writing was on the wall. When Rodney Ellis and Lena Hidalgo said, hey, we're gonna jump on this other guy's train to get rid of Kim Ogg, the writing was on the wall. Not one person raced down to the GOP headquarters to put their name on the wall for district attorney. A lot of people saw this race as unwinnable. We don't stand a chance in Harris County because it's blue. You know what I saw? I saw a huge opportunity. I went down there and I put DA down on the board and challenged anybody to go at it. Because I'm not losing this race. We're not losing Harris County on my watch. You guys know the juggernaut that we're up against. And when I first started this, I'm sitting here standing on the railroad tracks and I see that big Democrat train coming at me. Lena Hidalgo, Rodney Ellis, George Soros, $2 million. And can't forget Sylvester Turner. They're all hanging out on that, coming right at me. Folks, there's no way I was going to remove myself from the tracks at all. We've spent 4 months doing nothing but going all around the county to catch up from the primary that I did not participate in. Let me tell you why I did not participate in the primary. Because if I went and participated, I would have had to have attacked Kim and Puppeteer. Sean Tear's the guy, by the way. I would have had to attack both when I could sit on the sidelines and say, let me just go consolidate the loser. Because they're split. It was a very calculating move on my part. I didn't even have a web page. What the Democrats did, $3.5 million, 1 full year of advertising, and they got 126,000 votes for Puppeteer. I got 146,000 votes without a web page. They slaughtered Kim. She did not deserve what they did to her. That was disgusting that a party would do that to someone that is, being a candidate is tough. Being a public official, you're in the light all the time. It is a tough. And for them to do what they did to her, 52-48 would have been respectful, but no, 75-25, because they thought, we win this, we win Harris County. We will walk right on in there in November. Nobody's going to stand in the way. That nobody over there, we're good. And the numbers show. Now, my opponent decided on March 5th that he's going to go talk to the New York Times and say, I see myself as the Texas version of Philadelphia and Chicago, because those are such fine examples of law enforcement. I want to divert theft cases and drug cases like Portland and San Francisco. We've seen how that played out. Not well at all. That's the kind of person we're up against. We can talk about violent offenses all day long. Harris County has basically become a safe haven for violent offenders. It is a revolving door that the Democrats created with this fake social justice reform. This has done nothing but put everybody's lives at risk. And this is what they've created. In doing so, they created a great opportunity for someone like me. What they didn't realize that they were up against is someone that can relate to their entire party. You see, some of you have heard my history, where I come from. How many here have actually heard me talk before? Oh my goodness. Wow, you guys know it. I can run through this. You guys know that I come from foster care. I lived most of my childhood in a backseat of a car, camper, tent, the occasional motel, or sometimes the first month's rent. We never had the second. I was born in Galveston. I lived in Beaumont, Port Arthur, Koontz, Silsbee, a little place called Honey Island, somebody you may know, Lake Livingston, Cold Springs. Every year, every few months, we're at a different location. And growing up, I didn't get what most kids get, that foundation building blocks. And coming from a broken family, I didn't have that understanding. So a lot of the classes they put me in were special needs classes. They thought I was slow. That wasn't it at all. They'd already cast me aside, already decided where I was going to sit. And when foster care or the CPS came in the middle of the night and snatched us away, I'm going to tell you right now, that was very traumatic. And when you wake up in a distant foreign land on a farm, you have no idea who they are. These are things you don't forget. I didn't have a really good taste of government in my mouth either. I've got 4 brothers and 1 sister. All of them were living off of Social Security checks as kids. I was the only one that didn't get a check, so I was a liability. So early on as a kid, I was always discarded because I was not an asset. So I worked every day to make myself an asset. And it actually molded me to where I am today. Whenever foster care, we got placed back with my dad, same thing. It wasn't going anywhere. So I made the conscious decision to move in with friends that I met through the Salvation Army when I was 12 years old, just to have the opportunity to be the first to graduate high school in my family's history. Education is not something that was promoted at all. My dad got to 6th grade, my mom, I think 9th grade. None of my brothers and sisters got past the 9th grade. This is the environment that was created that I grew up in. And I live with the you can'ts all my life. You can't do this, you can't, your white trailer trash. You know, that only drove me even more to work harder. When I moved in, I didn't have a big name, no money. I ended up graduating top 4 of my class in high school. I also achieved being an all-district quarterback for my high school. And that usually doesn't happen unless you're the superintendent's son. Luckily, he graduated the year before me. So I had the opportunity. When I turned 18, though, family lived with us. Dan, we can't help you. You're on your own. So I joined the Air Force. I wanted to be a cop. I was excited to be a cop because, you know, I wanted to be one day a state trooper and a Texas Ranger. I watched way too much Walker, Texas Ranger. I wanted to be a Texas Ranger to go after corruption because I saw what the government did to my family and it just seemed so wrong. Cops get behind. I was always nervous and tense and afraid. You shouldn't live in fear like that. I did. But I wanted to be a cop mainly for this reason. Between the ages of 8 and 15, I was a child victim. Predators prey on kids that live in broken homes or no homes or poor. This is where they swim. This is where they are. I was not an exception. My sister was not an exception. My brother was not an exception. I wanted to be a cop to protect kids and people out there that needed help because nobody was there to protect me. Nobody was there to help me. This is where I come from. This is what molded me into where I am today. And it took one major event in my life to decide that I need an education. When I got out of the military, amazingly enough, this is going to shock all of you, I went from the Air Force in Utah to Park City. I wanted to ski 1 year because they sent me overseas. I always got volunteered, Bahrain, Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar. I went into an art gallery to do their computer work. And the lady goes, Dan, we're looking for a sales consultant. I said, ma'am, I don't know anything about sales and I hate art. And she's like, you'll be perfect. She saw something and she said, I will pay you $2,000 a month plus commission. That's what I was making for the military. I'm like, wait a minute. You'll $2,000 guaranteed. I didn't even pay attention to the commission. So here I am, this kid from a population 556 Colmado in Park City. And if any of you guys ever been to Park City, it is not a place where somebody like me should ever have been able to get to.
Yep.
Within a year, I was the #1 salesman in the entire company, Richard Thomas Galleries. I outsold everybody. Year 2 came along, and they said, well, we're looking for a director. We can't promote you because you're young, you don't have an education. Another, you can't. So I did the most next logical thing that I could do. Decided, I'll just go get a partner, open up my own gallery. How hard could it be, right? $65,000, bought a gallery, within 3 months, paid the partner off, old company, out of business. That was in 2003. I went from making $10,000 and $12,000 a month to $3,000 a month working for myself. But I was supposed to split what's left over at the end with my partner. But it never happened for 2 years. And finally I said, why am I not getting this? And he said, this is my business, you're just a contract employee. Now my partner is somebody you guys may recognize the name from the late 80s. He's got out of Georgia, he was a congressman, Pat Swindle.
Oh.
The name was in it, we knew it was coming. I moved back down to Texas at 27 years old in 2005 and lived on a couch and started Angelina Junior College with one goal in mind. I want a law degree. I want to protect myself from people like that because predators are still out there. But I had a big name in the art world, people calling me, so while I was going to school, I worked in Vail, I worked in Maui on Front Street, which is now destroyed. I worked in Jackson Hole. I've sold about $10 million in art in my career. I've done very well. I put myself all the way through school, and there's one little detail I left out. When I was in the Air Force at 19 years old, my biological dad had been disabled my entire life that I've known him. He fished for a living in Lake Livingston because $500 a month on SSI is not enough to live on. So he fished and sold it to the cafes. He was crossing the lake, the boat motor kicked up, hit his arm, and cut it, and he almost bled to death. I got called, I came down to Texas, and the doctor said, he can't live alone. Nobody can take care of him. So at 19 years old, I took in my dad as my man-child dependent until his death in 2015. You don't run from responsibilities. Everything I just said to you, I still took care of my dad the entire time. Whenever I finished Angelina Junior College, I transferred to Sam Houston State University. At this time, my opportunity cost loss was about $10,000 a month. So you bet I was gonna get A's. I graduated #1 out of 1,108 students. I ran circles around those kids. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more humbling than being 27 years old, going back to college at Sam Houston State University. I then applied to law school. This is where it gets very difficult. I took the LSAT. But let's go back to my childhood. Let's go back to my education. I didn't know how to test. And I tested right around like 159, 160, I think. Not crazy numbers. But then my dad was fighting cancer, and I was driving him from Lake Livingston down to MD Anderson twice a week. So Thurgood Marshall gave me an offer. And I was told, do not go to Thurgood Marshall. You can't pass the bar from Thurgood Marshall. You can't graduate from Thurgood Marshall. You certainly can't get a good job from Thurgood Marshall. Two things were not strict from me as a kid: my honor and my integrity.
Amen.
You dance with those who brought you. Thurgood Marshall gave me the opportunity. I did graduate magna cum laude. I did pass the bar on the first try. And here I am in front of you, trying to be the first Thurgood Marshall District Attorney in Harris County history. Now, doesn't stop there. I decided I'm going to take it a step further and get a master's in tax law at University of Houston, just to cover my bases, because I hate taxes that much. Now, I was going to take a different career path. I had already set up to buy a law firm, a tax law firm that's grossing $500,000 a year over in 1960. So I started interning there while I was doing the LLM. And I wanted to get some experience, so I applied to the DA's office to be an intern. And they called me back saying, Dan, we don't take lawyers as interns, I'll put you in the other pile. I had no idea what that meant. But October 2013, I get a phone call. And I talked with Mary. I said, Mary, I'm looking at doing this deal with you. She goes, Dan, just go look at it, just see. So I go down there and I talk to one of the prosecutors doing the interviewing everybody. And it was a good interview. They called me back 2 days later for a second interview. I said, this is not bad. Then they called me back through the third interview. Now the third interview is probably one of the most hostile interviews I've ever done in my life. It was a room like this, horse-shaped, put me in the middle, and then I just get bombarded with about 30 high-ranking DAs just pounding me. They didn't know that I already had another plan. I was like, I don't need this job. So I started interviewing them. Like, whoa, why are you interviewing us? You should be. I was like, no, hold up. What do I get out of this? I left that interview, and Aaron Burdett, he's a judge right now, walked me out and said, Dan, we'll be in touch in a few months. They usually get back to you in a few weeks or months. It's a process. Harris County DA's office called me the next day and offered me the job, and I said, I don't know if I want to work for you guys. No, thank you. She said, wait, before you make that decision, come down here and shadow one court. Just see if you like it. And it happened to be Court 11, Judge Bull's court. I go down there, I shadow a 3, and it's like an awakening, I guess. I sit there, and within an hour of watching everything, I felt more at home there than I've ever felt anywhere in my life. I turned down a $500,000 grossing job for $60,000 a year and a lot more work. And I did it without even thinking about it within an hour. I took that job. They said, well, can you start next week? And I said, nope, I gotta finish my LLM. I'll start as soon as that's over with. You guys have to wait. I started, amazing job. But then again, everything I've done in my life, you're either an asset or you're a liability. So I wanted to make sure I was an asset. Most prosecutors in 3 years get right around 15, 20 trials total. I ended up with over 70 trials in 3.5 years, and 8 months of that I was on the sidelines. I went in and I worked the job as hard as I could. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I love being a lawyer. I love what I do. Whether it's protecting victims in the DA's office, or now I do criminal defense. It's the same job. And it's not about getting people off, it's about protecting rights. Not everybody is going to walk out of there without a conviction. Not everybody's guilty when they walk in. So you take all of these things that I'm telling you, 16 years of solo business practice, somebody that's been a prosecutor, defense attorney, somebody that knows what it means to be falsely accused and to fight to prove your innocence, and somebody that knows what it means to be a victim, a real victim. These are not hypotheticals. I can relate to everybody in Harris County. And this is what the Democrats did not see coming. Because as I make my way into the inner loop, and I start going to all those churches, and I start going to all those functions, and I go announce myself as the first Thurgood Marshall District Attorney, they take a step back going, whoa, what? We have friends, folks. We know Kim Waller's not a fan of the Democrat Party anymore. We know Mayor Whitmire's not a fan. I mean, he's getting beat up by the Commissioner's Court. And the Commissioner's Court with Rodney Ellis and Lena Hidalgo would love nothing more than to weaponize the DA's office. And we've seen this with Trump. That man, I don't know how he does it, but wow. They have done everything they could do. They tried to go after all this money. They tried to make him a convicted felon, which, by the way, I don't know why they call him a felon. He is a social justice impacted individual, not a felon. They call everybody else, but not him. He's a felon. And then what we saw last week, the last thing we need is another DA's office that can be weaponized against you. You disagree with them, they weaponize it against you. I can tell you right now, the DA's office that I will build from the ground up, because it's going to take a lot of work, will be an independent DA's office. I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're independent, Democrat, it does not matter. What matters is seeking justice for victims and protecting defendants' rights. It does not matter who you are. When you come in there, everybody gets a fair shake. Everybody gets treated equally. You don't get to endorse your way out of an investigation. You don't get to endorse your people from getting indicted and get their cases dismissed. Now, let me tell you what I'm really up against. When I say puppeteer, I really do mean this guy's a puppet. Tear. Lena Hidalgo endorsed him because she's under investigation. She has 3 staffers. And my opponent decided it was smart to go work for a law firm that actually handled one of those cases. Coincidence? No. Somebody that will do favors before they leave the DA's office for lawyers is not somebody you want in there. And we have that documented. When he left the DA's office, he got $500,000 from a structured settlement personal injury lawyer. Let that sit in for a minute. Somebody that doesn't even have a criminal practice gave this guy $500,000 from personal injury lawyer. Another $100,000 came from Montgomery County. They're not even in Harris County. Personal injury lawyer. What do they get for their $600,000? Well, my opponent, when he asked Kim Ogg to work there, decided he wanted to be the division chief of vehicular manslaughter. Do you know what's really the only place in the DA's office you can really make side money illegally? Is have victims' information that nobody else has before anybody else has a chance to get it. And $600,000? I'm a prosecutor, I'm an attorney. You gotta ask questions like, whoa, why? Then, look at his financials. All the defense attorneys have given to his campaign. 0 to me. Think about that. This guy is bought and paid for by Lena, Rodney. Soros gave him over $2 million. And Sylvester Turner, all these people have something to gain by this guy getting elected. Everybody else in Harris County has everything to lose by this guy getting elected. But they, the elite, they want this guy. The defense bar owns him, personal injury lawyers on it. Everybody owns this guy. If I can imagine like puppeteer, like a little puppeteer, everybody wants to have their turn. Oh, my turn. That's what we're up against. We don't need that in the DA's office. And I'll tell him, man, that's shady. That's some shady stuff, Sean. You can call him Shady Sean if you want. That is really shady. This is not what we need. We need a district attorney that's actually going to be fair and not controlled or beholden or that owes anybody anything in the DA's office. We can make that happen. And let me tell you how it's going to happen. The polls obviously show that we were pretty far down a few months ago. Do you think that's the case anymore? No. And as of today, Biden is no longer the candidate. Biden has stepped down and he has not endorsed Harris. Things have just changed dramatically. You have a charged Republican Party. You've got a fired up base. You've got a lot of independents. You have a lot of Kim Ogg voters and Mayor Whitmire voters that are just waiting to go vote in November. Here's where we step in. We put this story out there where I come from in the middle of the city. We either keep their voters on the sidelines or we flip them to vote for us. And I'll tell you this, there's no way they go down that ballot halfway down and just select my name. All the Republicans above me will get selected. All the judges you see, all of them are above me. I'm below them. And once you go on that far, you might as well go all the way down. This is the perfect storm for us to win. Now the financials came out on the 15th. I was nervous. I was really nervous going, God, this guy's probably already got $1 million from Soros. I'm in trouble. He has $154,000 cash on hand. I have $98,000 cash on hand. They did not see that coming. This guy's only $54,000 ahead. Now, this is where it gets real fun. As I'm driving here, I get an email. Somebody sends $10,000 out of the blue. Out of the blue. So I called the person and I'm like, man, thank you. Who are you, first off? Yeah. Thank you. He goes, well, Dan, I wish I could be there. I'm actually in Colorado for the rest of the summer. But I had a few friends call me and talk about and give you high praise. And I'm in Harris County and I'm concerned, but I've never been involved in politics, ever. His friend emailed me a few months ago, had no interest in politics, but emailed me and said, Dan, I'd like to help your campaign out. Where can I mail a check? The guy sends me $2,600. And then he sends me another $5,000. And he doesn't show up on anybody's donors list. Neither one of these guys. We are attracting people that are just concerned citizens. We've gotten $21,000 in the last 5 days. This is starting to turn into something that people didn't realize that we even stood a chance 4 months ago. And here we are about to outpace it now and lap it. And I have not even begun to advertise. All we've done is galvanize the entire Republican Party. And this is ours to lose. We need everybody to get out there. You guys see, there's many ways you can help us. Donate. Helping me, I'm telling you, it'll help every candidate on the ballot. Make this the presidential race of Harris County. Beto did it and wiped everybody out, and nobody knew who else was on the ballot but Beto. Make this D.A. Dan's race the race that everybody comes out for because he gets everybody elected. You can follow me. That'll help out a lot. Build our numbers. You can donate to the campaign. You can mail a check. Support. Just volunteers. We need block walkers. We need poll watchers. We need people there to count heads as they walk in. People on the inside to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. This is a huge effort that we can all do together. And here's my plan for that. I'd like every candidate to say, I'm going to take 3 polling locations. I'm going to get 10 volunteers each poll and put them on 3-hour shifts. And we have them rotating. And you take care of your people. And you make sure they show up. We can all work to make sure we keep a very safe election. Now, this year's a little different than others. We have a really pissed off Kim Ogg, which is wonderful for us. And she said in an event, I can't endorse Dan because it's my job to investigate voter fraud. Checkmate. She already invited Ken Paxton in once. I don't think she's afraid to do it again. And now they know that. So that whole wild harvesting, we're paying attention to that. Because that's what concerns me. Illegals voted, that concerns me. But I'm telling you, I don't think they're energized to get out. They're not excited, but we are. Look at what happened to Trump. We are in a great position. Now is where we push even harder. The DA's office has 3 responsibilities. I go after anybody that commits an offense against the state of Texas. It's compassion and accountability. I'm going to help the people that I can help, and the ones that are wreaking havoc in our community, I'm sending them to prison, and I will not even lose any sleep over it. Voter fraud. If I don't win in November, we lose the state of Texas in 2 years. They will have San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. You could bury 1 million mail-in ballots and nobody out there can ask a question but the DA. And I'm telling you right now, Puppeteer is not going to ask any questions. We lose the state of Texas in 2 years. That's the urgency here. And public corruption. I told you in the very beginning, I wanted to be a Texas Ranger to go after public corruption. Here I am wanting to be DA to actually prosecute public corruption. $8.5 million is stolen from the 3rd Ward. They've been charged. $600,000 is stolen from the Water District, doing favors for family members. They've been charged. How deep does it go? Kim Ogg and Mayor Whitmire, they're not done yet. More's coming. We're getting a lot more help on the inside than you think, folks. Now it's going to be incumbent on you to help us. You see what I'm doing. I work in the morning in courts because I have a full-time job. I still do criminal work. I'm at the courthouse every day. And I'm telling you, Judge Linden's right. We got some judges that are a little lazy. And it's frustrating because I got a campaign to run. So I need to get in and out of there. I work in Montgomery County, Waller County, Galveston. I work everywhere. In the afternoons, I campaign. At night, when I go home at 9 o'clock, I do my work to get ready for the next day. And I do this. I've been doing this for 4 months. And I can do this. And I'll do this as long as it's required. I will not stop. Now, this comes at risk. If I don't win in November, do you think I get to keep my criminal law practice? I have built a really good practice. I'm very good at what I do. You can call me and I can tell you what's going to happen with your case before you get off the phone with me. I know what I'm doing. I love what I do. I signed up 2 clients driving over here. I stand to lose everything that I've built. And people ask me, Dan, why would you do that? Why would you sacrifice so much for people you don't even know? Because folks, I've lost everything before. I can get it back. I can go somewhere else and make it. But you know what worries me? Is all of you, your family, your friends. You're stuck here in Houston. And the people inside the loop, they're really stuck. They don't have many options. You are worth fighting for, and you are worth sacrificing everything for. And I gladly would do that all over again, no matter what the outcome is. And as Dan Patrick said, he's quoting that we didn't know if we were going to win World War II. We didn't know if we were going to win the Civil War, but we knew we had to go fight. We don't know if we're going to win in November, folks, but we know we've got to go fight. Because this is your last opportunity to have a real election in Harris County. And I am not going to lose this. There's no way God put me in this position that put me all the way through all that hell that I went through to get here to fail. I will not fail you. We will win this, and we will win this together. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions for Dan?
No, but you gave me a great idea for a commercial to share when done. You said it on your mouth to make a great commercial.
No questions at all?
No questions?
Hold on.
Go get him, Dan.
Thank you.
We've got one
You
here.
got a question over here?
Yes, sir.
How good a skier are you?
I taught skiing because I wanted a free pass, and I can also snowboard.
Right.
I also fly airplanes out of Hook Air Force Airport up here. I love flying, by the way. It's one of the coolest things. Yeah, it's weird. I have these little things I like to do. I mean, you just don't stop. I can tell you this. There's a question people ask me. Yes. Question?
I want to speak about my group just a little bit.
Oh, we'll do announcements when you sign.
Okay. Sorry.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
Tell us about your family.
Which one?
Wife, kids, do you have?
All right. Crazy story. Gets even crazier. So, I met my wife in 2013 in the medical district. I met her, I walked into the room, I see her for the first time. First off, she's from Iran. She immigrated here legally. She's going to medical school, finishing up her fellowship. She's an interventional cardiologist. Yeah, she got really lucky when she met me. When I met her, there were 3 pagers on the table. And I sit down and they started going off and I was just patient. And she was intrigued that it didn't scare me off. I've had an independent life and she's had an independent life. She and her family immigrated to Canada to escape the regime. She went to Vancouver and didn't speak any English. She had a Farsi book and an English book side by side. She taught herself. She then went to Rutgers where she got an engineering degree. But she didn't want to be an engineer, she wanted to be a doctor. But like me, there was an issue with the MCAT. There's the language barrier. She didn't understand some of the words. So she went to Grenada, became a doctor, and clicked on the wrong Baylor to go to her fellowship. She was trying to go to Dallas. She clicked on Houston and ended up in Houston somehow. She is one of the top cardiologists, interventional cardiologists in the country. She's worked in everywhere. She does locum right now. She works out of state. It's amazing to see what she does. No kids. Her life is her work. She loves what she does when she can save somebody's life. And I'll tell you, she doesn't get the patients that, oh, I got a heart problem. No. She gets the 94-year-old that just came home from the nursing home that was probably weighing about 80 pounds. She will not let you die. If you ever have a problem, you need to go see her. She will not give up. It takes a strong woman, and she's fantastic. She gives me hell. I tell everybody that she married me for citizenship. She hates that more than you know. She's from Iran, so I tell everybody that I'm a hostage. That this Stockholm syndrome, I fell in love with my captor.
What's her name then?
Julia. Her name is Julia. Her real name is Ghazaleh. But when she got here, they said you can name whatever name you want, and she liked Julia because she liked Julia Roberts. So she picked Julia. So, and the amazing thing is, it's crazy. Her mom and I go back and forth on politics because my wife did not like Trump for not the reasons you think. We got married in New Jersey, and he stopped her family coming from Iran to our wedding. My wife holds a grudge. She's like, he kept him from coming. And I'm like, look, there's good reasons, but she's actually, when I ask her questions, well, do you want big government in your life? She goes, no. Do you want to pay more in taxes? She goes, no, I pay like 60% now. I'm like, no. Welcome to the Republican Party. We have a really interesting relationship. We're very independent. We rarely ever fight. We see each other every few weeks. Because like I said, she works out of state. It was great, wonderful, no time to fight. You guys will be meeting her because she gave her notice to where she was working. She'll be coming down here, back and forth, doing locum through different various states, but she's gonna come help campaign as well, just to kind of show everybody. She actually went to the Lincoln Reagan dinner. This girl has never understood politics ever, and I took her to the Lincoln Reagan dinner. And she's never been a fan of Ted Cruz. So of course, she's standing next to Ted Cruz getting her picture, which I love. She's coming around. She's starting to see that, look, we really do, the other party really doesn't realize we really do care. We really do care about our country. And she's actually starting to see it. She's in Utah. You know how many Democrats are in Utah? Like 4. She's doing locum in Idaho, and I think there's 1 in Idaho. When she goes to California, though, 2 Republicans. So that's my personal life, which I haven't shared because I didn't want the Democrats to go after my wife. And the biggest mistake they could do is because if they want to make it personal, I can promise you this, I'm not like other Republican candidates. I will not stay nice. I love attacking, and I will go attack, and I will bury this person if they want to go negative. I will not take the high road because this is worth fighting for, and I will fight them to the death for them win this. I will not give up on you guys. So hopefully we keep it above board and they stay positive, but I'm not planning on it. By the end of this, I figure I'll have 5 or 6 kids all over Houston. I will have probably 12 wives. I will probably be a criminal at some point. And if that doesn't work, I'll be a terrorist. A January 6th, gun-toting, flag-toting, Capitol, raising terrorist. We know their playbook. But hopefully, yeah, racist, I forgot that one. I went to Thurgood Marshall. My opponent started coloring his Facebook a 1.5 years ago. I went to Thurgood in 2009. Who's the poser? Folks, we have a unique situation here. We have a lot of cool things. And I'm going to be very difficult to attack.
Exactly.
I will just revert back to my childhood and just talk about that every time that the crooked media and the Chronicle, the communist paper, ask me a question. I mean, just all the time. I mean, we know they're not on our side, but I have the belief that they should care about their community. They should care about being a victim, because I'll leave you with this. If any one of you or any one of them walk out in the parking lot and become a victim, they're going to pray that DA Dan is the prosecutor. And for the person committing the offense, they're going to pray the puppeteer is the district attorney. That is the difference between me and him, night and day. If you want worse the 8 years you've had, stay home. But if you want to fix it, I'm going to give you the weapon to go out there and fix it with, because I carry a big stick too. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'd just like to